Assalamu alaikum. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Rabbana la tu'akhidna in nasina wa akhtana. Rabbana wa la tahmil alayna isran kama hamaltahu ala alladhina min qablina. Rabbana wa la tuhammilna ma la ta'aqata lana bih. Wa'fu anna waghfir lana warhamna. أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين آمين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري ونسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome, dear friends. Inshallah, we will start a new topic, which is the 27th word. So we finished basically the 26th word, which was on treatise on divine determining. So now we're going to do the treatise on independent judgments of the law, which is called ijtihad. And I was very fascinated with the verse that the author shared and how he kind of works on that verse, because we don't usually are accustomed to reading the verses in this way that he is making it so meaningful in terms of our living right now, which is how the Quran needs to be read. It needs to be brought us into our living right now. Right. So I'll start. 5 or 6 years ago in the Arabic treatise, I wrote concerning a matter to do with independent judgments on points of the Sharia. Now, at the request of two of my brothers, this word was written about that matter in order to put in his place someone who had overstepped the mark in his attacks on it. So, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, if they had only referred it to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, or to those charged with authority among them, the proper investigators would have found it out for them, which is a verse from the Quran, section 4, verse 83. So I have an alternate translation as well from Abdul Halim, which is whenever news of any matter comes to them, whether concerning peace or war, they spread it about. If they referred it to the messenger and those in authority among them, those seeking its meaning would have found it out from them. If it were not for God's bounty and mercy towards you, you would almost all have followed Satan. So just to show you the verse here, this is the verse. So another translation, whenever news of any matter comes to them, whether concerning peace or war, they spread it about, if they pray to the messenger and those in authority among them. Yeah, that's the same one. Okay. So before we go into the text, anybody wants to comment on the verse itself? Like how it's a beautiful verse actually. Like, for example, any news or any matter we are concerned with right now, mostly politics or anything. Instead of that, go into the study what the Prophet is teaching us or the message of the Prophet. Go and engage with the Quran in a way. Right, so let's see. So the door of independent judgments on the law is open. But at the present time, there are 6 obstacles to entering it. The first, In winter, when the storms are fierce, even small holes are blocked up, right? So you don't want any cold air to come into your place. You want the place to be warm, comfortable, right? And it is in no way reasonable to open up new doors. Under the onslaught of a mighty flood, to make openings in the wall in order to repair it leads to being drowned. In just the same way, at this time of denial and the assault of the customs of naturalist philosophy and the legion of innovations, and the destruction through misguidance, to open up new doors in the citadel of Islam, in the name of ijtihad, and make openings that will be the means of those bent on destruction. Scaling the walls and entering it is a crime against Islam. So that is the first, basically, obstacle, as the author calls it, out of six obstacles, in terms of having to say in the matters of independent judgments of the law. That's how ijtihad is translated as. Right? So you cannot really open up any new doors because of these kind of obstacles. So is that still the case? That would be a question right now. At his time, the authors made a few years ago, and now after, so although within the same century, in this 21st century, is this still the case? So Muawiyah says, I would say it's even worse now. Yeah, so the destruction through misguidance. So many ideas and philosophies and thoughts and what the concerns are people are involved with, are engaged with, it just doesn't mean any, like, I don't know what the people's concerns are these days, right? So that's what we need to look at. So the author thinks that there's no new doors cannot be opened because it's going to disturb those, or the situation is such there's some heavy obstacles in there. So Farah has her hand up. Go ahead.
In this paragraph, the author is very vague about the topic of what kind of obstacles. And I'm wondering, I mean, there can be many questions related to, let's say, law that occur. And I'm wondering what are the reasons why the author has not specified, for example, or given examples around which one of these topics, you know, I wouldn't take it to I don't take it to mean that he means that on all topics, on all things, no matter how small or big. So I don't know. I'm just very curious about um, why is it such a vague sort of statement?
So you mean the obstacle being vague, or
No, the the obstacle is clear, but the door of independent judgments or the ijtihad. Um, I mean, as I understand, it can be done on various different topics. For example, I don't know, one can talk about doing it, some sort of independent reasoning on a matter related to new problems in like cryptocurrency, for example, as opposed to some other bigger social problems that or matters that occur. So I'm understanding that the author doesn't mean that it's, you know, that there are six obstacles to all matters of independent judgment. Um, yeah. I mean, my point is to say that the statement or what we read so far is a bit vague and very broad also.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel the author is saying that there are like doors are basically open to interpret them. Furia says the vagueness connects with what Mavia shared. Okay. Yes. So the way he's presenting is he's saying, yes, you can actually make independent judgments on the law. It is open, but there are certain things, situations, maybe you have to be careful because it may destroy even further. Let's say somebody who is their mindset is on something else, right? So they would not really benefit from it. Doesn't really matter to them in that sense. I think it becomes much clearer if we go into the second and the next few obstacles, how he approaches it in a way. But let's hear from Brother Ali. Brother Ali, go ahead, please.
Now, as an introduction to the subject, of course, we will read all the explanations and then understand what author really means. So, ayat says, the verse says here, can you bring the verse down, please? Yeah. Can you please read it, the verse again? The translation. Awesome. Can you read the translation?
I was on mute, sorry. Whenever news of any matter comes to them, whether concerning peace or war, any news, they spread it about. They talk about it, they spread it. If they referred it to the messenger and those in authority among them, those seeking its meaning would have found it out from them.
Mhm.
If it were not for God's bounty and mercy towards you, you would almost all have followed Satan.
Now, what is it saying? Although it is interpreted as concerning peace or war, من الأمن أو الخوف. I mean, somebody feeling secure in their life or in whatever the situation is for a person, or something fearful. I mean, threatening or causing any scary, causing anything that you are afraid of. It may happen.
Disturbing,
But
anxiety.
new things, new things.
Mhm.
It is important if they referred it to the messenger and those in authority. It means the one who is acting on behalf of the prophetic heritage. So, those people who are authorized in this, it means they are really expert on the Quran and Hadith. I mean, experts. We have to ask them. So, what does it mean now? If there is a new situation occurred, what we will do? We will go to the Quran and Hadith narrations. Not you and me will go there, but authorities will go there and say, be careful here. I think Farah, although the last sentence I didn't get it, the question, but Farah also wants to make it clear or have it cleared. we will say, look, there is a prophet's practice of this subject related to this. Let's make a comparison between two of them and say that now, in this position, prophet did so. It means this similar position in our time, we have to do in this way. That is called ijtihad. And then present it to the people. Now, in the paragraph, the first paragraph just we read as an introduction says, look, there is a winter position now. Winter means believe in God and believe in prophet. It means foundations of Islam is under attack. The very basis of Islam is under attack. In this situation, you bring up a subject referring to a kind of making, what was the word, translation of qiyas in English?
Analogy.
Sorry?
Analogy. I'll
Yeah.
write it.
So, yeah, analogy. Yeah, making this analogy between two cases. Of course, hadith narrations and practices varies a lot. In one subject, you can find 10, 20 hadith narrations. Each of them has different side of it. This is not our subject. Why it is so? Because prophetic practice varies according to the conditions. Narrations, therefore, varies accordingly. So I bring one hadith, and because Rasulullah did so, and it must be done, practiced in this way. Another person brings another narration. It says, no, it should be practiced in this way. We start arguing between us. And the people, general public, have already shaken connection to the prophetic message and believe in the legitimacy of the Quran and believe in God, etc., and Akhirah. They will say, ha, look at these people. Prophet, the hadiths are full of contradictions. They are talking. And why do I practice add persons and take the criterion, practice of the person who lived 1400 years ago as my criterion to use and apply it and arrange it my practical life here? Come on. So, because belief in Allah and the Prophet and the message is under attack, people are not sure whether they are really correct. Although people seem to be Muslims, but I live in a Christian generally. Who cares about Christianity? And who really applies Christianity, whatever it is? No one, almost no one, compared to the proportion. I mean, Farah lives in this country as well. What is the proportion of the people who practice really Christianity? 2%?
Very, very hard to say.
Yeah, no. No, because they don't believe. So in the Muslim world, why they are still identifying themselves as Christians then? I mean, that is just heritage, culture. That's how our culture is. Muslims are a little bit better off than Christians, But as far as the belief matters are concerned, that is our culture. I believe in the Quran. Quran says Akhirah definitely will take place. Why should I reject it? By rejecting it, I may risk my life. It's better to confirm it. Why? Well, that's what the Quran says. No, this kind of belief is just cultural inheritance. In this position, bringing up a principle that should be applied because the Prophet applied it, because Quran ordered it, doesn't really satisfy people because their trust in the prophetic tradition is shaken. That is why we should not deal with this subject, but try to establish belief matters first, solidify it, and then say, look, if you really understood that the prophetic message is universal, anytime and in every place is applicable. Quran is the same. Are you satisfied with it? Now the prophetic practice may be transferred to our life now as by making analogy. There is another word for it, but I don't remember, technical word. Translated in English and in religious texts, it is heavily used. Solution, not only, Allah, not only actually analogy, that is something else, but I don't really remember. Okay. Anyways, the word is not a problem. That is why Nursi says, stop, although it needs to be updated to how to apply the Sharia rules. Needs to be updated, that is for sure. But the situation before people, when you say, Prophet, practice it in this way. My friend, you have to obey the Prophet. They will submit it. But this trust, this iman is shaken now. That is what we have to pay attention. Muawiyah said something very important. Muawiyah said, let me see what he said. I would say it's even worse now, he said. No?
I mean, he meant the
Yeah.
attacks are.
So that is correct. While we are reading this text today here, inshallah, all together, we have to bear in mind that Nursi, at the same time, not only talking about subject, this ijtihad subject, now we all know what it means now, but we learned now, ijtihad subject, but we are also going to pay attention to the situation of the Muslim world now. It is an analysis of the world now. That is the heart of the message in this text. In which conditions we are living. Inshallah, we will pay attention to it. There was another Faraz comment. Let me see. Fariha's comment. The weakness connects with what Muawiyah shared.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Yeah, your background, I think, helped a lot. Thank you.
Sorry?
The background information helped like a little bit, opens up the subject. Thank you. So the analysis of what our current situation is in a way. So the winter means the attack, and the storms also is the attack. And what is going on. So let's go to the second one. Independent judgments may not be made about the essential teachings of religion, for they are specified and definite. Moreover, they are like basic food and sustenance. Although at this time all effort and endeavor should be expended on their being upheld and raised to life, basic teachings of Islam are being abandoned and degraded. So to give them up, despite their being among the theoretical matters of Islam, and due to them being the pure and sincere interpretations of the first generations of Islam, are not inadequate for the needs of all times. And to make new interpretations of the law in arbitrary fashion is an innovation and betrayal of Islam. Are not inadequate for the needs of all times. So they are okay, basically. The basic teachings of Islam are agreed upon and should not be abandoned or degraded, which are the fundamental theoretical matters of Islam. So are these like the teachings of Islam in terms of the 5 pillars of religion, Islam, in a way? Belief in God, angels, prophets. So they need to be upheld. All right. Also, new interpretations of the law in arbitrary fashion, of course, does not make sense at all, right? So we should not be, nobody should be doing that in arbitrary fashion. Like not within the context of the teachings of the Quran or within the basic fundamental matters of Islam.
Maybe not being an expert on the subject.
Okay. Right. Speaking on behalf, but not being an expert on the subject, correct? Okay. So the third, just as varying goods in the market are sought after according to the season, they are in demand one after the other. So in the exhibition of the world and market of human society and civilization, every century different goods are sought after and are in demand. They are displayed in the market. Demand attracts them. Gazes are turned on them. Minds are drawn by them. So I think this also is underlining to whatever is in fashion or gets attention, attracts the gazes, demand increases, and minds are drawn to that aspect. Like at the present time, the goods of politics and securing the life of this world and the demand of philosophy are sought after. For example, or science and scientific interpretations, maybe technologies is now sought after with artificial intelligence. And at the time of the first generations of Islam and in the market of that age, deducing from the word of the creator of the heavens and the earth, his wishes, and what he wants of us were the most sought after goods. That was interesting. So the first generation of Islam in the market of that age, deducing from the word of the creator of the heavens and the earth, what his wishes are and what he wants of us were the most sought after goods. Reading that, I wonder what happened to us. And obtaining the means and gains through the light of prophethood and the Quran's eternal happiness in the world of the hereafter, which had been revealed to such a degree it could not be concealed. At that time, since people's minds, hearts, and spirits were directed with all their strength towards understanding the wishes of the sustainer of the heavens and the earth, the discussions, conversations, events, and circumstances of social life all looked at that. It's incredible. So the discussions people were having, conversations, events, and circumstances of social life involved understanding the wishes of the sustainer of the heavens and the earth. That sounds like paradise in this day and age. Since they occurred in accordance with those wishes, whoever had high ability, his heart and nature unconsciously received instruction and knowledge of God from everything. So whoever was looking with those wishes, whoever had high ability, his heart and nature, his mind, his human sense, qualities, unconsciously received instruction and knowledge of God from everything. Because your heart, spirit, heart, and mind are looking for it. He received knowledge from the circumstances, events, and discussions which took place at that time, as though everything became a teacher for such a person, and inculcated in his nature and disposition the preparatory knowledge for independent judgments. So the education was much better in terms of making independent judgments. That natural instruction illuminated him to such a degree that he was almost capable of interpreting the law without acquiring the knowledge, to be illuminated without fire. Thus, when someone capable who received such natural instruction in this way began to work at interpreting the law, his capacity, which had become like a match, manifested the mystery of light upon light. He became qualified to interpret it mujtahid, swiftly and in a brief time. At this time, however, due to the domination of European civilization and the supremacy of natural philosophy, and the preponderance of the conditions of worldly life, minds and hearts have become scattered, and endeavor and favor are divided. Minds have become strangers to non-material matters or to the message of the Quran, because the minds are occupied with the politics and other things, conditions of what's happening in other places. Thus, it is because of this that if someone now has to memorize the Quran at the age of 4 and have the intelligence of a mujtahid like Sufyan ibn Uyayna, who held discussions with religious scholars at an early age, he would need 10 times longer than Sufyan to become qualified to interpret the law. If Sufyan acquired the learning in 10 years, this man would need 100 years. Wow. Sufyan required 10 years, this man would need 100 years. Because the period of Sufyan's natural study began at the age of reason. His disposition and abilities were slowly prepared and illuminated. They took lessons from everything and became like a match that lights up into a lamp or light, big light. But his counterpart at the present time, since his thought is submerged in philosophy, his mind plunged in politics, and his heart is giddy at the life of this world. His disposition and abilities have grown distant from interpretation of the law. For sure, they have become distant from the interpretation of the Sharia to the degree they have been preoccupied with the modern sciences and have remained backward in regard to it to the extent he has become learned in the physical sciences. Therefore, he may not say, I am as intelligent as him. Why can't I be on a level with him? He does not have the right to say this, and he cannot be on a level with him, of level of Sufyan in this example. Wow, a lot has been said in terms of what is currently the trend, what I feel like in a way. So is this that to say it's not possible for very, very difficult in our present time? So Muawiyah has a question. Muawiyah, you want to share what you are saying in terms of the comment? So in terms of interpreting the law or having that uh, focusing your heart, mind, and spirit in terms of understanding the wishes of the sustainer of the heavens and the earth. I don't think anybody is involved in that, from what I know.
No, yeah, I completely agree with you. As opposed to it being a very common discussion back then, now it's like a very rare discussion. And in fact, if you talk about it, people kind of look at you strange, which is it's kind of incredible to think about how like life was at that time. But my question was related to the idea that the author said that if it took him like 10 years, it would take us 100 years, which I actually agree with that. Maybe it might actually be more longer, but does that mean it's not possible? So I'm not, I don't know. It wasn't really like a serious question almost. It was just kind of like a posit, something to think over.
Yes, that's the idea. But Brother Ali, please go ahead.
Now, human capacity, human potential is always the same. But the atmosphere now doesn't allow it to practice, to turn it into capacity, because the atmosphere is so much disturbing, distracting our attentions, and there is no, for example, if a person comes to our discussion once or twice a week for 1 hour only, we are happy. I'm very happy. Let alone that this person will study 12 hours a day continuously with no break, so that he will get into the huge heritage of Islamic Islamic heritage, legacy, so that he will understand the differences between hadith, why this is this, in which circumstances this hadith took place and the other one, hadith narration, took place. Who's going to do it? This is first thing, but before this, the author established that everybody's mind, even the people who study religion, why do they study? To have a profession. Profession so that they will gain their daily bread. And not everyone, but mostly professional. Not to become a mujtahid just because he really wants to solve the problems of the Muslim world. Even the Muslim world, we study 3 main subjects, this one. No one is looking for what Allah God, the creator of the earth, who said this in the understanding the wishes of the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and the discussions, conversations, events, and circumstances of social life all look to that. It means wishes of what my creator wants me to live. How many people are there in this world? As Asim said while he was eating, so, oh, where is that? So people are not ready to receive the ijtihad subjects, but they are looking for an excuse. Now we see, for example, in Egypt, everybody is looking for an sort of permission, not what Allah wants. No, they are looking for scholars, those people who know better than them, to justify, for example, the main problem of the rich people. They are very much concerned about it, how to make more money by involving bank transactions and justifying interest involved transactions, trade business, international trade business, internal domestic trade business. Everything is working through banks, and banks work with interest. What they did, these scholars, they mostly justify it. That is just the cost of administration. And if it is just for the cost of administration, why these big, huge, rich people are running the bank for the sake of social, how do you say, social benefit? Just help the society to work. And who does this nowadays? Who can do it? Now the atmosphere continues, essentially changed. So what people are looking for a justification to soothe down their religious feelings. Now, religiously acceptable anyways, but are they really looking for the wish of their creator God and what Allah wants me from me? Or how can I use the Sharia in order to comfort, relax my religious feelings? Somehow I have grown up in a Muslim family and I am Muslim. So what am I doing must be justified according to Islamic rules. But that is why we have to be careful. Although ijtihad is essential to Islam, but the conditions are not ready for it. So we have to prepare the conditions to accept the Sharia, because Sharia, the rules require first, as the verse said, ayat said, submission to God's decision, prophet's practice, and those people who apply the prophet's practices. Everything is upside down now, confused. So we have to be careful while we are looking for fiqh rules for the transactions. Are we looking it for to justify it, or are we looking for it really what Allah wants me to do? That is what we have to. Another point, who is going to do it? Where is these people? Sorry, where are these people? And who are they? Those people who really issue fatwas. How much they are qualified for it? Are they really, really qualified? Or better than you and me. That's what these two main points should be taken under consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ali. Farah, go ahead.
One thing that I sometimes, or maybe often think about is that by what we're discussing so far, it just means that whatever the the rules are, or let's say Sharia is the way that we have it at the moment currently, that it is wholesale the will of God, even though as I understand, the jurists make an effort to extrapolate what they understand to be the will of God. So the point that I want to sort of ask is, it seems that whatever we have right now, we accept as to be, man's best understanding of the will of God. And whether or not, let's say, certain aspects of it, certain aspects of the Sharia right now may seem, let's say, whether uncomfortable to people or um, make their lives, let's say, worldly difficult, we just have to accept it as, the will of God, even though perhaps, I don't know, how do we contend with the possibility that there could be room to make things, let's say, worldly wise, easier for people. The tension in my mind is like, how do we accept that whatever exists up till now is in fact really, the will of God, or, it is also is a human endeavor. And even though, we believe in the consensus and we believe in people's hard work and ijtihad from before, but in today's time and age, perhaps, it could make things easier, and that still could be acceptable to God. So to me, it's like the idea is a bit difficult to sort of contend with, that any sort of change to our material conditions, not particularly the example that Brother Elise was giving, but perhaps there are also several others, for whatever reason, a lot of the time having to do with gender roles and inheritances and this and that. Um, if it could make people's lives a bit easier, then why do we have to think about it being against the will of God just because it is different from what we already know or what we already follow? I hope it is clear.
Please go ahead, Brother Ali.
Do you think Muslims, those Muslims who don't pray, I mean, this is very general. There are many, many, many Sharia rules which are not applied generally by the Muslim population. But of course, this is an obvious case. They don't pray because they don't know that it is Sharia rule. Sharia means what Allah wants us to behave, how to behave in this world. Do you know anybody who doesn't pray because he doesn't know that it is really mandatory in Islamic Sharia? Do you know anyone?
No.
No. Why do you think they don't?
From what I understand that they don't is that they still think that it, not praying does not make them not Muslim, and so they are more, let's say, concerned with the idea of just being called a Muslim rather than the idea of being a good Muslim or a, better Muslim. They're more concerned with just being Muslim, at the minimum.
If you go them and say that, tell them, look, brother, Allah orders you, brother or sister. Allah is ordering you to pray. Do you think they will say, really? Allah is ordering me? And then I have to do it. Or they will start really frowning at you and saying that, yeah, I know. And you see what I mean? That's what they do. So what is the problem? Problem is with ijtihad, so that the Sharia will explain how to behave according to Allah's will, so that I will really apply it, comply my life to it. Is there any such desire? Those people who don't really practice the Sharia? Or they are looking for an excuse to justify. Now you can do it in this way. It is not really necessary. There are some narrations also. Huh? but I have seen, or a sheikh, one of the sheikhs said so. Those sheikhs, they, I know one of them from Egypt. He has 15 million followers, and really, he's very well. Justifies everything. So that is the situation now. That is why the author says, look, we have to, first of all, logistically look at the conditions of the society and then choose a way how can we really ameliorate the conditions of this community, Muslim community. What do we have to do is very clear. Foundations must be established. If someone is sensitive about a subject, can you ever talk about it? Can you?
No.
By Sharia, he knows it's Allah's order.
I think they get angry. I mean, I get angry if that happens with me also. So
Yeah, it will react. The problem is people are themselves now interpreting Islam as it fits their own way of life. How can I present, oh, no, it is wrong. This is the right way. Even there is an authority or an expert to do that, even he presents it to you. If someone is not ready to submit his free will to Allah's will, according to Sharia, not in worldly affairs, according to Sharia rules. I don't want to, for example, present myself in this way, in a way that Sharia requires, but Sharia says otherwise, they will just try to really try to legitimize their own way of understanding, and that's what as much as they can practice. That is the problem. The problem needs to be, first of all, really diagnosed in the best way. And then solution must come from that direction. And the author is going to give many examples and explanations. The problem is not now ijtihad matters. We have to be careful, he is saying. He will say as well.
So it's really the fundamental matters that we need to work on, basically, in a way. Inshallah. Thank you. All right. This is very interesting. All right, so we'll continue. Unless anybody has any other thoughts or comment. Just as within a body is the inclination to expand for its growth and development. And since it is from within, the inclination to expand is a being perfected for the body. Whereas if it is an inclination for expansion from outside it, It is to rip the body's skin, to destroy it. It is not expansion. In the same way, when the inclination to expand and will to interpret the law were present in those within the sphere of Islam, through the door of perfect taqwa and the way of conforming to the essential teachings of Islam, like the righteous early generations. That was a perfection and a being perfected. But if such an inclination and desire come from those who give up the essentials, prefer the life of this world to that of the hereafter, and are tainted with materialist philosophy, it is the means of destroying the body of Islam and casting off the chain of the Sharia from the neck.
That is what is going on now in the world. Rather than changing the world or one's life according to the requirements of Islam, what we are doing now, we are changing the requirements of Islam, Sharia, changing it in order to fit the materialistic secular world. That is what ijtihad is used now for those people who practice it. Inshallah, this matter is clear. Maybe Asim can repeat it.
Yeah, thank you. So in terms of like what the Sharia is, so adjusting it to what their requirements are in a way, what they feel is better for them in their worldly life, and leaving what the actual meaning of what Sharia is, to submit one's free will to the creator of the universe. So they kind of interpret something or choose something that kind of justifies their own way of doing things. Mavia, go ahead.
So I had a quick question about this idea of the inclination to expand, and whether it's coming from within the body or externally. Uh, what is this inclination? Like, I'm not really sure if I'm understanding it correctly, because the way I'm reading it, I guess it's like growth, but I don't know if that's exactly what the author is saying. I just wanted some clarification.
Yep, I think he's giving an analogy, but Brotherly, go ahead.
Sorry, you go ahead. You go ahead. I'm with, because I prefer you.
Okay, yeah. So he's saying basically this, what the crux of like the teachings of Islam is kind of being ripping apart, like from the outside according to what they prefer, according to how they want to justify themselves. So it's just using as an analogy how the expansion, although the inclination is to expand, but to make progress in a way and expand, but it has to be organic in a way, not basically something that misfits and destroys the actual, like destroying rip the body skin, for example, from the outside. So you kind of destroy the body of this Islam in a way. Yes, Brotherly, go ahead.
Rather than helping somebody's taqwa to grow by following the Sharia. But the taqwa, the sense of taqwa is obedience. Let's make it simple. The obedience to Allah's will. This understanding must be supported to grow from within, not by additional outside elements to add to it, and it will grow. For example, can you grow a tree by outside elements, adding to its body from outside, or giving water so the tree itself internalize the water and grow from within, expand from within. So if taqwa is not there, if the person is not ready to submit his will to Allah's will, to prophetic way of exemplary life, if a person is not ready about it, by giving information, no, prophet did in this matter in this way, do you think this person will increase in his submission to God or reject it? Because the body reacts it from outside. If you want to feed a baby, you don't really add the food on its body, but give it to digest it so that it will digest, the baby will digest the food so that it will grow, like watering the tree. Now we have to water the tree, not add Sharia rules on top of already religious feelings, basing on their already religious feelings, which are not ready to submit themselves to God's will completely. Although they believe in God, but they believe in God as somebody who created the universe outside there. It is not my concern anymore. It doesn't mean that we have to call them non-believers. No, they are believers, but their belief is not ready to take the Sharia rules and really internalize it, and let their obedience of God feeling will increase. This society is not ready for this type of growing. So grow is not introducing the Sharia rules to them, but supporting their belief subjects. So if belief develops, the result, it will be ready to apply the rule. When you introduce the apply the rule, they will start practicing it. As the companions of the Prophet, after they were convinced that the prophetic message was right, in the mostly in Medina period of the Prophet's life, then Allah started introducing the rules of Sharia. Before, almost nothing was introduced, only a few elements. The proprietary elements were introduced during the period of Meccan period. It means the people were ready for, after 13 years of really internal growth, and then the food is given to them. If you want to turn your belief into practical life, here is the guidance. That's Sharia. But people are ready. If the people were not ready, Quran didn't introduce, Rasulullah didn't introduce the Sharia rules. That is a great and important method that we are learning from the Quran and the prophetic message. So what we are going to do, rather than giving the Sharia rules, make them go through Meccan period, because the problem is related to belief matters. So he doesn't say there is no Sharia rules, there are no Sharia rules. Yes, there are, but the people are not ready. That is the main problem. The second problem, who is going to really make ijtihad? Who is going to do it? This made it an independent judgment, ijtihad. Who is going to do it? Where are the qualified people? Because the atmosphere is not ready for this. So that the qualified people cannot grow, develop, learn. Everybody is busy with the worldly life. And the atmosphere is not feeding them. As soon as you go out the street or even go to the mosque, look at this. After Friday prayer, wait in front of the masjid. Who is talking about anything to do with Allah and Rasulullah? Have you ever seen anybody? That they just came out of Friday prayer. As soon as they go out, Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing? How are the work? Huh? Yeah? What did you do with this matter? Nothing to do with Islam. Nothing to do with the content of the khutbah at all. Nothing to do with it. We have to be very careful. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah, thank you very much. Inshallah, so we can stop here for today, inshallah. We'll continue, inshallah, with the fifth next time. Okay, so there's a final comment. In summary, can we say that there's one size fits all when it comes to following Islamic principles, but submitting your free will to God has no one size fits all. Either you submit or you do not. Yeah, I think there was a comment earlier on related like Sharia being wholesale. It's only happens after basically your beliefs, the fundamentals being practiced, and then the rules. Of course, everybody has their individual how their belief according to their belief. That's how the Sharia also works. But Brother Ali, would you have any comment on that?
Sorry, I thought that the discussion was ended. So I was just looking for we were left and marking the. I didn't notice what was said last time.
The summary basically that the Sharia basically a one size fits all or following the Islamic principles, but submitting your free will to God is individuals according to belief.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that clear? It's correct to me.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
All right, so we'll stop here. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma alamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati surat al-Fatiha.